Hey, we got a bit of obscure Japanese tech on the bench here today. This is something that my friend, he has a factory. He uses this very occasionally when they have to, like, maybe once a year write a check. And yeah, they use this machine to simplify the process because in Japan, when you write a check, you don't just scribble it on a bit of paper. It has to be written very particularly. There's a very specific way that you have to write the numbers, and if you don't do it the exact right way, the banks will just bounce the check straight up. So things like, instead of writing 25, you don't just write the characters for 25, you write 20 and 5 sort of thing. Like it's very specific, and this thing helps to simplify that. So you type in the numbers and whatnot, and then it will print it out in the correct format so that the banks will then accept it without any problem. There's no problem with the handwriting being illegible. It's all printed onto the check, which sits in here. So I've been given this to see if I can repair it. It's giving us an error when it's turned on, and they talked to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer said that's a problem with the motherboard, buy a new one, basically. So it was handed to me to see if I could figure out what's going on. So hopefully it's going to be something simple-ish inside. I'm hoping there's just like I don't know, maybe a capacitor or something. I haven't even looked inside yet. So we'll open this thing up and see what's inside. I can hear something rattling around. There's a bit of plastic that just fell out, so I have to put some super glue on that. But yeah, it looks like there's a few screws on the bottom, and hopefully the cover just comes off, and it should be pretty straightforward to open up. All right, let's zoom in a little bit and power, make some noises. Error 2. That's probably because there's no paper in there. Paper. 25. Error 2 again. 2 yen and 25 something. So it did right, but it's given us an error 2. So that's the format, like, yeah. Ah, there we go. One capacitor. What's the cover there? Ah, that's where the bit's broken off, so I can just glue that back on. Not a problem. Alright, we've got our power transformer there. Comes in. Looks like we've got a bridge rectifier, a full bridge rectifier. Fuse. We've got some regulation going on over here. The green TO220 package. Let's zoom in a bit. You can see a green TO220 package there, and a black one. Bulk filtering capacitor. What brand is that? That is a Rubicon. Beautiful. YX series, that's just a standard Rubicon there. Looks like we've got a Sanyo chip there for the display. Maybe that's controlling it as well. So it might have a built-in LCD display. I haven't looked at these numbers. Crystal transistor. And another chip here, which I wonder if that's the power supply chip, and that's driving the transistors. Not sure. And then over here, we have our printer assembly. We've got a printer wheel, and interestingly, you see the pattern where that's printing and focus. You can, hopefully you can see there, it's like kind of got lines through the letters or the numbers. That's by design, it seems. The actual printer wheel here has the lines cut in it. So I wonder if that's some sort of like a thing, you know, like you get it, checks written in the West, and they got that digital font in the magnetic kind of ink. Maybe this is some sort of like a thing to show that it's been printed on a printer rather than a check printer rather than a computer or something. I don't know. That is it. All right, yeah. There's not much going on here at all. We've got the LCD on a little riser supports to get at the right angle. Angle at angle. Techno 7. Techno 7. Sounds like an off-brand mecha anime, doesn't it? The Techno 7. Just capacitors, resistors, nothing too fancy. A switch. So I'll say that is a controller and with LCD driver. Yeah, but they do work correctly. There is some sensors too. One here and one here. So maybe they need a bit of a clean, because they're reflective sensors. And it looks like those boards is held on with plastic rivets. So I might pop those off and give them a bit of a clean with some isopropyl alcohol. Alright, you can see actually in here in the window, there's a little bit of reflective tape. Looks like the sort of stuff you see on high-vis vests. And then this here will be a little infrared LED. And then a little photo transistor or some sort of thing. You see there's two little windows there. So it'll bounce the light out and it comes back in on that reflector. And when that's not in that position, in the home position I guess, it'll just be on black, so it won't reflect any light back. And then it knows where the home position is and it can count how many positions around for each character. So like character 1 might be 5 steps, character 2 might be 6 steps, that sort of a thing. And it just rotates around as needed. So that one's been cleaned. I'll clean this one too. Alright, this is a little bit cool. The way this works on a ratchet mechanism. So this motor here is what pulls the paper through. And we've got the sensor there, so it knows when it's done 1 revolution of the large gear here. If I turn that watch just down the bottom left corner here, if I turn that, it drops the lever down and then it lifts it back up. And there's a little ratchet where it turns, and so each rotation it's turning at 1 position, so it pulls the paper through by 1 character at a time. And then because it's got the sensor, it knows when to turn this motor off, because it goes 1 rotation then stop, then 1 rotation and stop, and each rotation it goes through this cam mechanism here and turns against the wheels and pulls the paper through 1 spot at a time. Then this one here is the stepper motor, and that rotates this and causes the doobie Watson to get to the right position. And I have just seen the problem. I know what's wrong with this machine, and that will then type out our letters. So what I have just seen is the gear here on the stepper motor has got 2 teeth missing. It's a resin gear and there's a crack in it and it's basically just falling apart. So that's probably yeah, it's jamming up, I think. Yep, it's jamming up as it goes past those missing teeth. So the gear, it's not a problem with the motherboard. The error, according to manufacturer, was a problem with the motherboard. But it's not. I think the error was saying there's a problem, but it's not with the motherboard, it's with the gear here. So it must have been over current or something, and that was tripping something out and giving a weird result. So we're going to have to find a new gear. And there it is. There's the money shot. And look at this. There's one of the teeth right there. It fell out when I pulled the thing apart. So that gear is done. It is finished. You can see if I get something pointy, that'll do. A little crack right there. We've got the missing teeth, 2 missing teeth, and yeah, that's not looking too good at all. So that's going to split and then the whole thing will just chunk off. Alright, so I got the gear on there in the end. Basically I pulled the shaft out of the motor. It was easy to do that. And then I just heated up the brass insert, or the brass collar, and then put the gear on something metal, so it was like, you know, heat resistant, and then just push it through until it went through to the other side and was more or less straight up and straight down. And I've shaved down that the thickness of the gear because it was a bit too thick, and that should be pretty good. So if that goes back in there, something like that should be all right. So hopefully that fits. All right, let's see how we go. That looks like it fits. A little bit of a wobble to it, but it should be all right. Quite a bit of a wobble to it. I wonder if it's worth tuning that up a bit. Heat it up on the end there and give it a bit of a tweak. Maybe I'll do that. You can see there where I've tried to kind of flatten it off a bit, so it's sitting, what's that, low on that side. I'll tune it up, have a bit of a play with it, and then we'll get that in, and hopefully we can test it. Alright, time to plug it in and see if it works. See if it gives us an error. Alright, a bit of paper, old receipt, that'll do. Okay, let's set that there. And if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, okay. Look at that! It's working! 2 enthusiastic thumbs up! Even with a little slight wobbly gear, we're not getting errors. That means that the gear's working. Fantastic. That's the old one there, the resin rubbish that was falling apart. More of it there, just more and more and more. In the bin. In the bin. So that is working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's give it another run. Set that. Okay, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Print. Yep, we're in business. Fantastic. That's awesome. So I hope you found that interesting. If you got one of these, I hope you found that useful. That's pretty much it. So yeah, if you need a new gear, AliExpress. I'll put a link down below for however long it lasts for. But yeah, the specs of that gear will be down there as well. So yeah, see you in the next one. Have a good one.